I've really been looking forward to sharing this update with all of you. There's some really big news that we want to share with you in this update. And the format that I'm going to follow for that is the same format that we've used to talk about the way we're executing against the global equity crowdfunding opportunity. Okay, so we've got these 3 parallel paths to success. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to update each of the 3 of these, okay? The third one, you'll see that we've actually got a big announcement to make as it relates to the design and build of our own blockchain. So we'll get to that in a moment. So the first was to expand our global reach across the equity crowdfunding industry. The second is to work with select platforms to launch the first deals through our platform, through our technology. And the third is to design and build our own blockchain, which is a really important part of the total picture that, as we announced at the last update, we've recently recommenced and put resources into that project. So let's go through each of the 3 of them. So if you recall, the expanding our global reach across the industry was very much about the formation and the promotion and launch of GECA, which is the Global Equity Crowdfunding Alliance. And so this is a coalition of equity crowdfunding platforms from around the world that we bring together to collaborate, share experiences and share ideas around how we as a global industry achieve the stated objective, the vision, which is global equity crowdfunding without borders, okay? Operating seamlessly across jurisdictions and geographies. So many of you will recall that we announced the formation of GECA, and so what I want to update you on today is how we're going with this, because this is a critically important vehicle for how we are expanding our global reach across the industry, okay? So look, I'm really pleased to confirm that we've actually had, it's early stages, but we've had a terrific response. So we now have supporters signed up in multiple jurisdictions, including Canada, Cyprus, Argentina, the UK, Latvia, the Netherlands, Brazil, Switzerland, Singapore. It's a very geographically diverse supporter group that has already come together to say, we want to be a part of GECA, we want to be involved, and we want to contribute to the achievement of global borderless crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding. So that's enormously exciting for us. If you go to the website, which is thegeeka.org, you can click into, this is a sample of supporters. You can click into these tiles and you can link to the websites and read more about these industry players that have joined GECA in the short time that it's been around. And I'm pleased to say that we're talking with 50 or more other platforms, and we fully expect that more will join in the coming days and weeks. So this is now, we're off to the races, okay? We've got really good geographical coverage. The group of supporters will continue to grow, and we're not talking about 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, okay? That group will continue to grow, and I think what it shows is what we've been saying for a while now, which is that we have very real support for this objective, where we make equity crowdfunding genuinely global through Dacxi Chain technology. The other development with GECA that I'm very excited about is that the CEO and co-founder of one of the UK's leading equity crowdfunding platforms has agreed to join the GECA steering committee. Okay, so GECA is essentially administered by a steering committee, and the idea was we wanted to get industry leaders to drive GECA. It's Daxi Chain is involved, but it needs to be run by the industry. And so the first announcement of several that will come in coming weeks and months is that the CEO and founder of a very well-established UK platform has agreed to join that steering committee. So again, very clear validation about global support for what we're doing. This is no longer us talking about it. This is the industry actually voting for a future according to Dacxi Chain and according to Giga. We'll make a public release about that individual joining the steering committee later this month, I think is our intention. And we're also producing quite a bit of content. So you'll see it if you go to the website, again, thegeeka.org. You'll see that content in the form of podcasts, newsletters are in the process of being finalised and distributed. We're going to start having industry meetings where we pull apart some of the issues and opportunities and allow the industry to come together to contribute to the objective. So in terms of broadening our reach across the industry globally, I think you can say that we are on a very, very good course and really gaining momentum literally every week at the moment. Let's move on to the second body of work, which is around getting the first deals shared via Dacxi Chain. So this is using the Dacxi Chain platform so that platforms can communicate with each other directly to share deals, and by virtue of doing that, significantly increase the size of the crowd that has access to those deals. So that work continues with our platform partners in the UK and Europe, and I'm pleased to say we're making really excellent progress. You'll recall from the last couple of updates we talked about focusing on the UK and Europe and the reasons why we did that, so I won't go through that again. But suffice to say, since the last update, we've made some really excellent progress. So the preparations for these first shared deals are nearly complete. The final details are being worked through. We expect to go live in August, so it's really only a few weeks away. So the work that we're doing between now and then, between now and going live, is really some final small refinements to our own platform based on just ongoing discussions with our partners in the UK and Europe. Also, we want to make sure that the partners complete and make some refinements to their integrations with Dacxi Chain. So we offer the technology, they have to build into it. So there's some refinements that they need to make at their end based on a few changes that we've made at our end, okay? Then we do the technical testing before we go live. So we're really in the home stretch. And, you know, I think all of us are really looking forward to seeing this go live. And the good news is the progress is really excellent and we're very close, okay? So obviously I'll provide another update in July, and you expect that by then we've progressed through this list of things that we need to finalise, okay? So we're getting very close to those first deals, which is pleasing. The third body of work, again, which we talked about in the last one or two updates, is the design and build of our own blockchain. We've got this slide up here just to remind everybody about the significance of blockchain technology. So this sort of 50-year journey that we're on might be sort of in some ways called the digital continuum, where computers, personal computers in particular, became available to everybody, okay? And essentially what they do is they follow instruction from the user. Then suddenly the internet came along, which was this huge global network where machines could actually exchange information with each other. And we do that every day, whether it's digital media or digital banking or whatever it might be. Email is another simple example of that. And then along comes blockchain, which is a revolution, because what these machines are now doing is exchanging value, not just information, but value. And so that really is the step change that blockchain represents. So with that as a reference point to designing and building our own blockchain, just a couple of points on this. So our own blockchain has always been fundamental to the Dacxi Chain vision, okay? It's always been a fundamental part of that vision, a really important piece of that puzzle. And the reason for that is because the sheer size of the global opportunity means that we actually do need our own blockchain. And so one of the things we talk about a lot in the design process for our own blockchain is, what is our end game? What do we need this blockchain to be able to manage in terms of scale and function? And we see an end game with 100 million or more investors around the world, sitting in crowds across different platforms, issuing 10,000 or more different tokens for high growth companies that are raising capital. So each of those tokens would be a high growth company, and hundreds of nodes and transaction volumes in the hundreds of thousands a day. Okay, so these are the transactions of actual investment being made between the crowd on the platforms that they're investing through and the companies they're investing in. Okay, so really significant volumes. And really what we've known for a long time now is that this needs to be a purpose-designed blockchain that we deliver and we control, and it will be more efficient. It'll ultimately be less expensive to use and to support and to develop. It'll be more secure and more scalable. So that's why Dacxi Chain's own blockchain has always been critical to the vision. And more importantly, our team know how to do this. Okay, so we've got a really strong development team that have got years of experience going back to 2017, which in blockchain is literally an eternity, who have been developing in and on and around everything to do with blockchain. So that's the blockchains themselves, the nodes that power those blockchains, digital wallets, API connections, everything to do with security and exchanges, and KYC, which is know your customer checks that need to be done from a regulatory perspective, and obviously how to operate, how to build and operate networks. So we know why we need to do it. We know what we need to do. We know the scale of what it needs to manage, and we've got the team to do it. So as I announced at the last update, that blockchain design and build project has well and truly commenced several weeks ago. And what I'm able to confirm today is that version 1 of that blockchain will be delivered this year. I'm going to expand on that now. So just a visual representation of what we call the Dacxi Chain stack, okay? At the bottom, we're running our blockchain, which is a transaction layer 2. We're running that blockchain synchronously off the Ethereum layer 1 blockchain. So the layer 1 verifies the transactions, and then the layer 2 that we're designing and building right now is about managing all of the transactions that come through the participants in the Daxi Chain network. All right. And then on top of that, we've got our API framework. That's how those partners, those platforms that want to use our technology, that's how they connect. They connect in through the API framework. And then the application layer is the user interface with all the functionality in it that our partners are using to conduct certain tasks, or to administer certain deals. Okay. So that's the Daxi Chain stack, and you can see clearly where the Daxi blockchain, which is a transaction layer 2, where that sits in our stack. So this is right now the single piece that it hasn't been launched. Everything else you see on this slide exists. Okay, and we're now focusing on this layer 2 blockchain that is the Daxi blockchain. Now, launching our own blockchain later this year is absolutely a game changer, and I want to start to share with you in this presentation and in further updates more and more detail about how this works and why it's a game changer. So I'm going to keep it fairly simple today, and it can get very complicated very quickly, and we'll start to unpack more in coming updates. But fundamentally, our own blockchain, it allows us to expand the use cases for Dacxi Coin. In other words, it allows us to introduce new ways in which Dacxi Coin can be used and therefore increase Dacxi Coin's value. I'm going to give you one example of a major new use case, which is that our own blockchain will allow us to start to charge fees, blockchain fees. So blockchain fees are an embedded part of the use of blockchain. So transactions that have been written onto the blockchain, there are fees that are charged, small fees that are charged for each one of those transactions. And for our own blockchain, we will own it, we will develop it, we will maintain it, we will evolve that technology. We will also be charging fees on each transaction. Okay? So what it means is that for each transaction on our blockchain, where money's being moved around this network of crowdfunding platforms, we will generate a fee, okay? And that fee will be charged in Dacxi Coin. So we start to get some utilization or some utility for Dacxi Coin beyond its primary use case, which is as a transaction currency between platforms, okay? Which is around these fees that we will charge for the use of our blockchain. And I've given a simple example here of just a linear process where investment funds are invested on one platform and need to be transferred to another platform, okay? So let's imagine the platform 2 collects investment funds on behalf of platform 1. They then convert those investment funds from fiat currency or local currency into Dacxi Coin. That Dacxi Coin is acquired and transferred into platform 2's digital wallet in exchange for that currency. And then platform 2 transfer that Dacxi Coin to the platform 1 wallet. Platform 1 can now take ownership of that Dacxi Coin and convert it into their local currency. And then platform 1 passes that local currency on to the company for which the capital was raised, okay? In return, the shares are issued to the investors, okay? So this is the sort of end-to-end process represented simplistically. And there are 3 stages in this process where once we have our own blockchain, we will be able to generate fees that are charged in Dacxi Coin for the utilization of our blockchain. So what it's doing is it's introducing a use case, a really significant new use case for Dacxi Coin by virtue of the release of our own blockchain. Okay? So hopefully that paints a bit of a picture for you. I'm sure lots of you will have questions. Please send them through, and I'll be going into more detail in subsequent updates. But conceptually, hopefully that helps you understand, gives you an example of how we can use our blockchain to generate fees, which is a really major new use case for Dacxi Coin. Now, it allows us to do other things as well. And a second example here is it will allow us to start to offer staking. So staking of Dacxi Coin. So what this means is holders of Dacxi Coin will start to be able to stake their Dacxi Coin in return for rewards, okay? And we can only do that in the way that I'm describing once we've got our own blockchain, okay? And it's part of this, this sort of circular economy around charging fees, which are paid in Dacxi Coin for transactions, and also being able to offer coin holders, all coin holders, rewards in the form of staking. So staking becomes possible only through the delivery of our blockchain, the Dacxi blockchain, okay? So this is a very significant second benefit that comes from the release of our blockchain, which, as I said, will be this year. And I'll expand on that in a moment. Now, there are some other, so in summary, I've highlighted 2 really significant developments that come out of the launch of our own blockchain. One is we'll start to be able to charge blockchain fees in the form of Dacxi Coin, which introduces utility around the Dacxi Coin and a new use case. And we'll also be able to start to offer coin holders staking in Dacxi Coin, where they get a reward, okay? So there are some other really important benefits to delivering on the blockchain project. And we've all known for a while that we've wanted to get a tier 1 exchange listing, which is a difficult and complicated process. And what we absolutely know is that the launch of our own blockchain will really significantly help us achieve that. And it helps us for a couple of different reasons, okay? The first is, by launching our own blockchain, it engages a massive section of the crypto community because they're always looking at new projects. They want to understand the use cases. They want to understand the technology behind it. And so having our own blockchain is a huge stamp of credibility for the broader crypto community. And that's really important. That's one of the things that tier 1 exchanges are looking for, is that level of interest and confidence from the crypto community. But it also helps us highlight the bigger picture and the unique value, the significant value that we create with the Dacxi Chain project as we work towards the end game. Okay, so it really shines a spotlight on what we're doing in a way that will make a huge difference in our efforts to be listed by a tier 1 exchange. We're absolutely convinced of that. We've had a very close look at it, and this is another very good reason for us to be proceeding with that blockchain project, so we can deliver it this year. Just a reminder on some fundamentals here. The tier 1 exchange, the trading on those tier 1 exchanges is absolutely massive. A very small number of exchanges represent a massive majority of total crypto transactions. So once we tap into a tier 1 exchange, we get a very significant lift in trading volume, which drives demand. It's all related to liquidity and just the amount of transactions of the Dacxi Coin. So that is very good because it supports the price. And then the underlying use case, which is the transaction volumes that are supported by Dacxi Coin, where we're transferring investment funds around the world from platform to platform, currency to currency. That underlying demand obviously really supports the price of Dacxi Coin as well. And so if we look at that in the context of our end game, that transaction volume opportunity is literally almost limitless. So a little bit about the end game. So we believe that through this network effect, and you're seeing it now with Geeka, you're seeing the early stages of this network effect, real companies all around the world coming together to say, we want to be part of this. Through that network effect, which has now started, we believe we can, by connecting all of the crowds in the world, we can be a really important part of growing equity crowdfunding to be at least a $100 billion a year industry. And all modeling that we've done suggests that that is a conservative number. Okay. Now, $100 billion of investment through Dacxi Chain infrastructure, through this network effect, creates a corresponding amount of demand in the form of $100 billion of demand for Dacxi Coin. Okay. So clearly the end game, we get there in stages. But I think what this shows is that the demand opportunity for us through this network effect is genuinely significant. We're talking about also through all of those transactions on our blockchain generating millions of dollars in value in blockchain fees, which again creates utility, as I mentioned, around Dacxi Coin. And I've also talked about the staking rewards for Dacxi Coin holders. All of that's possible through the blockchain, okay? But this just puts some shape to when we talk about the end game. I just wanted to share with you some of the headline numbers that have come out of all the work we've been doing over the last year or longer to understand what can this industry actually become if it's empowered to grow to its full potential, okay? Which is, of course, the Dacxi Chain technology and the network effect that creates. And we're starting to see this emerge in a very real way through the support we're getting for Geeka. So that's hugely exciting for us. So look, all of this means that we actually have to do a Dacxi Coin upgrade so it's compatible with the blockchain that we'll be launching later this year. So the new blockchain means that Dacxi Coin will be upgraded with some of these blockchain services that I've described. And the upgrade just simply means that we're adding a major new use case, and through the blockchain launch, we're also adding staking. Okay, this is what we call the coin upgrade. Now I'm going to share a bit of a timeline. You know, we've had some people say, look, help us understand the stages and you know, how do we think about the timeline? So just want to start by saying these first deals that I updated you on a few minutes ago, they don't need the Dacxi blockchain for those deals to proceed, okay? We can execute all of those deals without our own blockchain. So that's really important, okay? But obviously once we have our own blockchain, we can start to execute what will be by then a much larger number of deals. We can execute those through our own blockchain. So in Q4 of this year, stage 1 of the Dacxi blockchain will be completed. And with that stage 1 completion, we will upgrade the Dacxi Coin. I'll talk about that in a moment, okay? So it's going to be a totally automated process. Everyone that holds coins, they'll automatically be upgraded, and they will therefore be compatible with the blockchain that we launch in Q4 of this year, all right? In 2025, we will launch a stage 2 of the blockchain, and this is when we will start to get into a much longer list of use cases. And these have all been part of the vision right from the beginning. But through stage 2 of the blockchain next year, we start to get to this. This is things like deal tokenization. So tokenizing the shares that are being issued by the company that's raising the investment, okay? And managing all that through our own blockchain. Part of that deal tokenization that becomes possible with stage 2 is things like smart contracts. I'll talk more about that in upcoming updates. Things like token custody. So being able to offer custody of tokens in a way that is compliant with all the regulations that are going to emerge around the custody of tokenized assets, okay? That all becomes part of the stage 2 release of our blockchain, and staking will also be part of that stage 2, okay? Right. Stage 3 in 2026 is when we start to go further into the use cases around Dacxi Coin, and we extend that from everything in stage 2 to start to include things like investor ID and registration. So this is where we use our own blockchain to automate elements of the registration process, the compliance process around things like know your customer, investor IDs and things of this nature. And stage 3 also gets us to a secondary market. So this is where the tokens that are being created to represent investors' shareholding in a company they've invested in, those tokens can be readily traded on a secondary market, okay? And that secondary market will be part of a stage 3 release of our own blockchain. And at that point, really, all the work we wanted to get done on the blockchain in terms of use cases, all of the stages that we've visioned here, they're all done. And we focus just on growing the hell out of everything, okay? More platforms, more deals, more transactions, more money being invested, more companies being funded. That's happening the whole way through this process, I should point out. But at that point, once we get to the stage 3 release, we've really done everything that we plan to do around the development of the underlying blockchain technology. And at that point, we're on a very strong growth trajectory. So this gives you a bit of shape around some of the key milestones, particularly around the blockchain that will launch stage 1 this year, the journey that we're on, the sequencing, and the time horizon. So look, in summary, and I've gone a lot longer today, I apologise for that. I'll just whip through this summary quickly so I can hopefully wrap it up for everybody into something more concise. So as you know, Dacxi Chain is building a unique ecosystem for and of global crowdfunding platforms. Under a network model, we can use the network effect to create a market opportunity, which we call our end game, that is conservatively a $100 billion a year market. And again, I'll share more details around this in subsequent updates, but that's very conservative. Equity crowdfunding platforms around the world, they want it. They want what we're talking about. They can see it and they want it. And our growing, our spike in membership on Geeka is a stunning example of that. Geeka only exists to achieve one thing. It's not an industry association, right? It doesn't, take customer complaints. It exists for one thing, to achieve borderless equity crowdfunding. So the companies and the platforms that join Geeka, they're joining for that one thing, okay? So that validation, I think, is hugely exciting. Our first deals, probably even more exciting in some ways. Our first deals are really close. We're only a handful of weeks away. And I'm hugely excited about getting those behind us and starting to focus on growing that deal flow. Our purpose-built blockchain technology is in development. Version 1 is going to be released later this year, Q4 of this year. And what the launch of that blockchain means is that we will do a Dacxi Coin upgrade. Okay? That means we're introducing a brand new and significant use case for Dacxi Coin, blockchain fees. It opens the door to offering rewards to everybody that holds Dacxi Coin. That's the staking. It shines a spotlight on the Dacxi Chain project in a way that we never have before, because we've now launched our own blockchain, and it really moves the needle on our tier 1 exchange listing, which is important. And so what I want you to all understand is this upgrade of the Dacxi Coin is totally automated. Okay? There will be an automated conversion 1-to-1 to the upgraded Dacxi Coin. Nobody has to do anything. Okay? So we'll share a lot more about that as we approach the launch of the blockchain. And I'll be doing that in subsequent updates after today. I didn't want to throw too much in front of everybody too soon. Hopefully this gives you some of the headlines, and hopefully this makes it really clear the path we're on and how close we are to some of these really significant milestones. Keep the questions coming in. Ask us at daxichain.com. Honestly, we go through these. We look at these. I will take a whole bunch of those questions, and I might dedicate a big chunk of our next update to answering those questions for you, as well as sharing more detail around some of the major points that I've made today. So, I've done a lot of talking. I've talked fairly fast to get through everything without taking too much of your time. I just want to thank everybody again for, your support. It really does mean everything to us. It is everything to us. And you can see now, I think, that everything's coming into view in a really exciting way. And I'm looking forward to sharing more with you in the next update. So with that, I think what I need to do now, Indy, is escape that and then stop sharing. Okay. Wow. I was expecting to mess that last bit up. Okay, so that's good.
Well done.
All right. Well, thanks very much, everybody. Really appreciate your time. Look forward to talking to you all again soon.